Hi everyone, welcome to Sandra's Bible Tales. Today I'm going to be talking about time. Why? Because time to me is, I am a person that I value time a lot, and I know the importance of time. And yesterday it was something that came to my head and I felt led to talk about time. So I'm going to start off with something I heard Bill Johnson say that blew my mind, and it was about Joseph. And he was talking about how when Joseph was locked up in prison and he interpreted the dream for the two servants of the Pharaoh, he told the butler, he says, when you are promoted, he says, remember me. Basically saying, talk to the Pharaoh about me so he can release me from prison. So what he was trying to do was he was trying to auto-promote himself out of prison. And Bill Johnson says what he did not know is that he was not a prisoner to Pharaoh. He was a prisoner to his prophecy, to the fulfillment of his prophecy. And then Bill Johnson said, imagine this. Imagine what would have happened if the Pharaoh would have released Joseph from prison. He goes, still the Pharaoh had not had the dream for Joseph to interpret it. He goes, so Joseph's only option would have been to go back to his family, and his father would have been like, I thought you were dead. And then when the famine would have come, they would have all starved because no one would have been able to interpret the Pharaoh's dream when he did have the dream. Therefore, like, they would have all just died. And he was like, so God knew what he was doing when he had Joseph in prison. He had him there for a specific reason until the time that God wanted when he gave Pharaoh the dream. And then it was Joseph's time to come out of the prison. And that blew my mind because I was like, it's so crazy how sometimes we don't understand things and we get in our own ways and we're like, God, but we want it now. But God, but this. And just because God gives us a promise, like what he did to Abraham, we think it's now and we think, okay, we're going to help God. But no, because even Abraham and Sarah, when they tried to help God, what happened was that Ishmael was born. And we see there that there was a big mess because it was done in the flesh. It was not done by faith in obedience to God and obeying and trusting God. So we see that time in the Bible, a lot of times we see that it's mentioned, even Jesus, when he said, it is not yet my time. So Jesus understood that there is a time for everything. Like it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, where it says that there is a time to be born, there is a time to die, there is a time to laugh, there is a time to mourn, there is a time for everything under the sun, right? The Bible is specific about this. I was hearing this man, they put a post on Facebook, and he talks about how when God created everything, he created everything in three. He says, God created matter, space, and time. And then he says, and in matter, he created solid, liquid, gas. And in space, he created protons, neutrons, and electrons. And he goes, and in time, he created past, present, future. And I was thinking, man, it's mind-blowing the way that God does everything and takes every detail into account. And how even on some other scientist guy, he said, God made everything so perfect that if the sun were just a little bit farther from us, and we would die of coldness, but if the sun were just a little bit closer to us, then we would die being burned up. And he says, so God is like perfect. Like the way that he created everything is so perfect and out of intelligence. In Galatians chapter 6 verse 9, it says, let us not lose heart doing good, for in due time, again we see that there is a due time, we will reap if we do not grow weary. When you think about harvest time, farmers, they understand that when they put a crop in, they have to wait. If you eat a fruit that is not ripe, what happens is that the fruit is not good. You're not going to enjoy it. When you're making something and you put it to bake, what happens is that you understand that you have to wait. There is a time. And it takes time to be processed, right? I was listening to Jen Johnson on something that she has on YouTube of healing, and she says how it bothers her when her time is not valued, when someone is late to a meeting that she has, and I'm like, man, this woman is just like me, because she has a knowledge and an awareness that many people lack, and one of the reasons that I love time so much is, and I value time so much, is because I understand that time cannot be bought back, that time cannot be, regained. In the book of Joel 2:25, it says, I will repay you for the years that the locust has stolen. So only if God supernaturally repays you could it be repaid. But no one can pay for time in a natural way and expect to go back into the past. Now, I saw a movie. So when I came back to Christ, I would tell God, Lord, I wasted so much time in the world, time that I could have advanced in your kingdom, time that I could have advanced in personal things in my life, that I was so lost and so deceived in the world that I lost that time and I cannot gain it back. And then God spoke to me through this verse, through a movie. There's a Christian movie, and it's about this girl and this guy. They're dating in high school, and they have a terrible accident, and the girl goes into a coma for like about 12 to 17 years, something like this. When she wakes up, she looks the same as 17 years ago, because mind you, she hasn't gone under the sun. She doesn't have kids. She doesn't have stress. She didn't have not one wrinkle. And when she goes out and she sees everyone is amazed at how young she looks. And they're like, how is this possible? you know. And what happened was that God protected her, because I was like, God, what a waste of time for her. She was in a coma, she didn't ask for that. But what was really happening was that God was keeping her and protecting her to expose someone else's intentions. And when all of this crap had unveiled and it was over, then God was like, okay, now she's ready to gain her promise and to have her happily ever after, with this out of the way, with this nastiness and this deceit and this crap that was going on here out of the way. And the movie really ministered to me, because sometimes there's purpose in things that we cannot understand and that we cannot, value. I've always valued time. If someone tells me they're going to be somewhere and they are late, I get upset. I've gotten in trouble with this, with people that don't value time, because maybe they don't have the knowledge of what time is, or how precious time or how valuable time is. I've gotten in trouble even when I set up meetings and people are like 20 minutes late and they're like, I'm 5 minutes away, and then they're really 30, and I'm really expecting for them to be 5 minutes. And I'm like, this is not fair, because I have another appointment. You're not the only client I have. I have another appointment at this time, and you're making me be late to that meeting. You're making me look irresponsible, and it's not fair for that other client. So now I'm just like to the point that I'm like, look, if you didn't value the 40 minutes from the hour that I gave you, I'm sorry, but you only have 20 minutes left. So make it the best, because out of those 20 minutes, I have to go to my next appointment. As a realtor, I've learned to value time more. Why? Because if you don't know this, realtors, they get paid when they close the deal. So meanwhile, the realtor is looking up houses, doing math, wasting gas, going to places with clients, right? And that's their time that they are not getting paid for yet, because they get paid for that in the closing, right? Buyers do not pay the realtors. A buyer never pays the realtors. There's many people that they're scared, buyers, that they're scared that they have to pay a realtor. Buyers do not pay realtors. The most of the buyer is going to pay anyone, which is going to be a broker's fee, a service fee, will be the most $600 and down, which most of them don't even pay that. But they don't pay the service. They don't pay the realtor service. They do not. So even for me, for family and friends, I never charge service fees. So it's like I basically work for free. Now, realtors, what they do, some of them, when they get to the point that they've been taken advantage of so many times, is that they make buyers sign a buyer's agreement saying that they're not going to go with another realtor. Because sometimes buyers do that because they, out of ignorance, they don't understand. They'll go and they'll be working with 3 realtors, wasting the realtor's time, when at the end, only one of them is going to get paid. And it's not fair. So, or either that, or they'll get a deposit, so a lot of people don't understand this. They waste the realtor's time. The realtor wastes gas with them, wastes time with them, wastes this. And at the end they say, oh no, I'm going to work with another realtor, or oh no, I don't need your service anymore. So it's like basically stealing. It's like if you hire someone to work with you, and then at the end of the day you tell them, you know what, but I'm not going to pay you. And it's not ethical. It's not right. It's not good. However, unfortunately, a lot of times this happens, and realtors, they, because of the ignorance of other people, they pay unless they educate the people, or they assume that the people know because they're a family or a friend, or they trust them or whatever. You shouldn't. You should always I've learned you should always educate them, because you'd be surprised. So as a realtor, I've learned to even value time even more, and see the importance of time even more. Now, God, when he knows everything, he knows the time for everything. So many times we think like, man, we're wasting time, or this is happening or that's happening, but God has purpose in everything. And I want to let you know, if you do not value time, ask God to take that blindfold from your eyes, ask God to give you knowledge, ask God to give you revelation. But if you cannot value it for yourself, at least value someone else's time. If you're going to say you're going to be in a place at a time, be there. And if you can't be there, let them know. Even when you have a job, they tell you let us know with 2 hours of anticipation if you're sick. And you have to, because if not, you're going to get fired. So if it's a principle in working life, then why do people not see it as important? There's a reason that it's a principle in working life, because it is important. So I felt like sharing that about time. So, I mean, and it's in the Bible, it mentions time so much, it's not even funny. So thanks for watching Sandra's Bible Tales. I hope this ministered to you. Hope you learned something. God bless you. Have a nice day.